Countdown by Ben Mikaelsen. Chapter 8, Elliot. In Houston, each minute was scheduled, not for one day, but for the whole 9 months until launch. Already, Elliot hated all the rules and having to do everything with Mandy. She was nice enough. That was part of the problem. She seemed to get most of the attention, as if she were the first junior astronaut. She was a brain, too. The second night back at the Johnson Space Center, Miss Lopez asked at supper how much someone weighed in orbit. "That's easy," said Elliot. "0. If you weighed anything, you wouldn't float around." Mandy thought, then shook her head. "You weigh almost as much as on Earth." "Then why do you float?" Elliot challenged. "You don't float, you fall like a skydiver," Mandy said. "In orbit, you're always falling toward the Earth. But because you're going so fast, you go around it. You feel like you're floating because the shuttle is falling too." "You're crazy," Elliot said. "She's right," Miss Lopez said, smiling. "If you weren't orbiting at over 17,000 miles per hour, you would fall to Earth. You have to go far beyond the moon to be truly weightless." It made sense after being explained, but Elliot kicked himself for not figuring it out. That night, he dreamed he was back in the mountains of Montana. He dreamt that Mandy was there and that he had saved her from a grizzly bear. She wouldn't be such a hot shot out in the woods. After 2 weeks of training in Houston, Elliot had his chance to be in the woods. He and Mandy flew to Washington State. For 3 days, instructors taught them wilderness survival. Together, they learned to follow compass courses, start fires, make shelters, purify water, find food, and use first aid. Mandy still wore her silly white socks. On the 4th day, a helicopter dropped them off with one of the instructors deep in the back country. As the helicopter flew away, the tanned instructor, Mr. Gallagher, turned and spoke. "Okay, listen up. This is all I'm going to say. Pretend I'm not here. I will not help in any way unless your life is being threatened. I have supplies for my own use. You must find your own food and shelter. Your mission is to make it back to training headquarters." He pointed. "That peak is Summit Peak. You each have a knife, a compass, a map and a compass, water tablets and matches. Don't look to me for help. Beginning now, I do not exist." Those were the last words the rugged-looking man uttered. Elliot smiled to himself. Mandy might be a brain at everything else, but out here she was just a scared city girl. He pulled out his compass and map, found Summit Peak, and oriented himself to north. Mandy watched. When Elliot had his bearings, he pointed south. "Training headquarters is that way, 7 miles. Hesitantly, Mandy said, "I don't know much about this stuff, but look." She pointed to closely drawn lines on the map. "We have to cross these if we go straight. The instructor said the topographical lines show how steep the land is. These lines are so close it looks like a cliff." "Topographical lines," Elliot muttered. "Now you're talking like an expert at this, too." "It's not a cliff. Probably just a steep hill." He pointed at the map. "I'm not hiking extra because you're afraid of a measly hill. We'll have to go twice that far if it is a cliff." "Do what you want," Elliot said. "I'm going straight." The instructor watched quietly. "We need to stay together," Mandy said. "I'll follow you if you really think you're right." Elliot folded the map and started walking. "I know I'm right." They hiked for hours, stopping to drink from streams. The secret to survival was avoiding dehydration. Whenever they stopped to eat wild berries, the instructor ate sandwiches and granola bars from his pack. Late that afternoon, they broke out of the trees into a saddle of land between 2 peaks. Beyond the saddle, stretching as far as each peak, A sheer cliff dropped nearly 1,000 feet. Elliot stared in a numbed disbelief. How could there be a cliff? All day they had hiked over rolling hills. Mandy said nothing. She just stared at the ground and scuffed her hiking boot against a rock. Go ahead, Elliot said. Say I told you so. We better head back, Mandy said quietly. The instructor sat on a rock looking around as if nothing were wrong. Angrily, Elliot turned and trudged toward the tree line. Now they would have to hike back 2 miles, then go around the cliff. Mandy followed, watching. The instructor trailed along behind. After hiking a mile in silence, Mandy caught up to Elliot. I'm not mad at you, she said. You didn't know it was a cliff. We still have to make it to training camp as a team. We can do it. Elliot didn't want to be a team with this know-it-all girl. He ignored her and kept walking. By sundown, they reached a ravine skirting west around the cliff. They made camp beside a stream. A school of trout scattered from the shallows as they approached. I'll start building a shelter, Mandy said. You probably don't trust me now, Elliot said, but the sky is clear to the northwest. I don't think we'll get rain. We could sleep on pine boughs near the fire. I've done that lots of times up hunting. Mandy nodded. I agree. Besides, in a real emergency, we should keep a fire going for searchers to find us. It's not we going up in the shuttle, Elliot muttered, as he headed out to gather firewood. Quit pouting, Mandy said loudly. When Elliot didn't answer, she called, I'll collect berries for supper. Still, Elliot did not answer. He had his own plans. After collecting wood, he whittled a spear from a pine branch and hiked upstream. He found a spot where the water rippled over rocks. Telltale shadows glided under the surface. Crouching, Elliot flung the spear hard. It stuck firmly into the sandy bottom. Fish splashed and raced for deeper water. Elliot pulled his spear from the bottom and moved farther upstream. Again he found flat ripples and threw his spear at the fish. Again they splashed away. Elliot wished they were spawning. He'd be able to get much closer. He laughed. Mandy was probably thinking he was lost. Silly girl. After resharpening the tip of the spear, Elliot found a new stretch of ripples. This time, when he threw, the water boiled, and the spear flopped sideways, quivering. Elliot ran splashing into the water and shoved the spear against the bottom to keep the fish from wiggling off. He ran his hand down the shaft and gripped the fish's gills. Holding the fish up, Elliot chuckled. Mandy could have her berries. Elliot pulled out his knife and waded to shore to clean the fish on a rock. It would be better to leave the head and guts away from camp in case a bear came sniffing around. Mandy stood waiting beside a large fire when Elliot arrived back. The instructor crouched near his tent. A rain tarp extended out as a windbreak. He glanced over as Elliot entered camp. Elliot held up a fish. A glimmer of surprise showed in the instructor's eyes. You got a fish? Mandy exclaimed, her shirt stained from collecting berries. Now we can really eat, Elliot said. Poking the fish with the spear, he held it over the flames. Patiently he turned his catch until the skin turned crispy brown. I'm starved, Mandy said. Then let's dig in. Elliot cut the fish in half. Using flat river rocks for plates, they stuffed themselves on fish and berries. The instructor finished his own supper and crawled into his tent. With nightfall, Elliot and Mandy stretched out beside the fire on beds of soft, sweet-smelling pine boughs. They had only light jackets for cover, but the crackling fire kept them toasty. We did ourselves proud tonight, Elliot said. I agree, said Mandy. Good night, Elliot. Elliot grunted good night. During the night, each of them got up and stoked the fire. Only when the wind tugged at the flames did Elliot notice the heavy clouds blotting out the stars. He pulled his jacket tighter around his shoulders and went back to sleep. The wind picked up more. The big drops of rain started plunking down. Elliot and Mandy sat up. Hurry, let's stoke the fire, Elliot said. That instant, the sky opened up with sheets of icy rain. Elliot and Mandy scrambled to stack wood on the fire. Finishing, Elliot put his finger to his lips and motioned for Mandy to follow. Drenching wet, he tiptoed through the downpour over to the nylon windbreak stretched forward from the instructor's tent. Mandy followed hesitantly. Barely had Elliot crawled under when the zipper on the tent opened. Without a word, the instructor reached out and yanked down the windbreak, pulling the nylon sheet inside. Again, the zipper closed. Elliot sat on the ground, scowling up through the driving rain at Mandy. Flashes of lightning brought deep rumbles of thunder. The wind blew harder. "He's a jerk," Elliot whispered. "Let's find a tree," Mandy said. Together, they stumbled into the black night, searching. "There's a big one," Mandy said, pointing. They ducked under the long branches and sat with their backs against the trunk. Huddled shoulder to shoulder, they shivered in the dark. Mandy poked Elliot. "So are we having fun yet?"